teleprompter, and this is what like it's literal. Even communities, they're thinking, well, I can't think if I'm angry, so I have to take a pause and then come back to address the situation. That's not how the world works. That's the worst thing that you can do. And yeah, I'm not going to go into why, but here's just the why of my text messages I'm mentioning. The app I have is free, but it's so janky that it's just what you get with sloppy copies. It sends a text message and it goes under the text message of someone that was already sent, so it looks like theirs is newer. And then in the screen where they've sent stuff previously, it then pops onto the front lock screen as it's being sent new. And it is like in a row, so it like congruently lags 5 minutes, goes updates, and these two effects are similar to where, and this is where it comes to you thinking outside of the box and then being out of your mind. And it's hard to point unless you've got results, but you know, I've got this cherry on top stuff, so it's gonna fall right through. And but beating around the bush a few more times, it's all in the lines of like things that are over the top, but then if they actually are, you're no longer like what they were saying as a spy. You could be seen as like an informant. And so when they're saying, oh, Trump's a Russian spy, all that stuff was never proof because he wasn't. But nowadays it's like if you've got this whole cyber accord where communing with cybernetics is like in real life you just pausing and not facing adversity. This informant stuff where AI gets legs, and this is through the means of the two. Okay, so in framing, and before it's framing, it's all these high-end psychological names for things. They're all just in a basis of framing. And I'm not putting spins on things, I'm just seeing them locally. And that's why it's like strong points. So there's always just like an object and then a mode. And so in the psychology, there's like all these like complex things that seem really like, wow, this stuff is so strong put, but really it's just with one framing. If you understand that, and then you understand like an object and a mode. It's the same thing with in math and science. You get these like giant equations and they look so like complex and what have you, but if you understand like how the universe first began, and it's just like a circle or a triangle or a straight line, and then once you have these things as like a framing, the rest of it's just pesky because it's a little extra work. But then in doing those two steps of the framing and knowing what's extra work, you're able to like conceptualize things that graduates get credited for when they're really as easy as kindergartners. In days, there was like Galileo, he got thrown in jail because he said that the earth was flat, or it was rounded, now it's flat. So historically there's all these things that are institutionalized and stupid, but it's just that there's a consensus in power with your having one. And so in colleges there's these clubs, and so if no one else is speaking up, then their message, it seems prominent when there's issues, reaching out to give a bigger message because it gets seen on TV. And so if you start connecting to dots to all these copycats plotting like this thing where it's like they're trying to be heard to see a bigger problem. And if you look at like orbits of planets and stuff, they're all circular, but I forget, there's names where it's like off kiltered a bit, so it looks like a trapezoid, and so it like disappears where it shouldn't. And this is from ellipsoids. And so like once you know like this is because your angle of looking at it is different, the shapes start making sense. And so it's with this same thing. that it's like a pencil in a chaotic motion. If it's held on a compass and a weight and you let it loose, it's gonna draw all these like a chaotic design. I think that's the case if like you get a whole bunch of like, I'd say pentagrams, and so like it's just the same thing in pentagrams with molecules. The molecules are all connected by like springs, and so if you're just speaking in pentagrams or like binary of computers, they're all done in bits and switches. So if you just switch from a molecule spring into a switch on a computer motherboard, I mean, you've got a language in binary molecules, they've got a language in genealogy. This is this whole thing with mode and objects. Once you know them and then you step back, you can actually start reading it for what it is. And that's, I know it sounds super paganistic, like you're reading a crystal ball, or reading the tea leaves, but there's actually a way in doing it. And that's why I like the CRISPR machine's real, though it can only produce synthetic. And so that, back to the pentagrams, you're drawing really quickly, and if you're making a design, you can like muscle memory, like a cartoonist, know how to do it, and then just slowly but surely fragment and cater to like a person's image. And now it's all like these colloquial fan art, big face cartoon images that actually look like a person from those fine dynamics in between. No, it was like not from vocal cords, it was like from a memorized vocal cord ghost. And so that's where we're gonna end. For now, I'm out of breath, and this probably didn't drill home with anyone, but we're gonna capitalize off this. No cap. We're gonna capitalize off this. So I want to start by saying these text messages, I don't like talking through text, never have. It's a lesser form of communication. I understand like a lot of people are into it because, I don't know, it's just this whole virtual communication thing and communion virtually, and it's just distasteful because it teaches you that in debate and talking that you need to have a pause. And this whole meet and greet shit where you had like a nice conversation, so you want to end it early and not touch upon other things. It's like save the pleasantries. And this is how I know I'm over the target, so I don't feel guilty saying any of this stuff. Like, I'm paid a day to process. Now, whether that day to process means anything is open for discussion, though it isn't, because you can't contact IT. They don't talk to you, just to customer service.